How many times when talking about a game, film, or TV series has a friend used this line? I wish I could forget Breaking Bad, Fight Club, or The Witcher 3, so I could experience it all over again. Out of every piece of entertainment media I've personally engaged with, I would apply this sentiment to Grim Fandango. I first played the game on my old family computer when it was released way back in 1998, and it's an experience that has stuck with me ever since. I still have this gaming magazine from 1998 which has a full walkthrough, plus a double-page review of the game. At the time, the reviewer said this about the game: Grim Fandango shouldn't be pigeonholed as just an adventure. It's an experience of rare originality. This statement has aged remarkably well because Grim Fandango still holds up as one of the most imaginative and well-realised games ever burnt onto a disc. The Land of the Dead is inspired by an unexpected but ingenious marriage of Hispanic folklore and film noir. On the outside, the architecture is adorned with surreal Aztec motifs, while the interiors are low-lit, modern and moody, as if you just stepped onto the set for a Humphrey Bogart film. The pre-rendered backgrounds and fixed camera angles weren't just an economical way to make a game, they add a real cinematic edge to the experience that still holds up. Each environment is a work of art in itself, and they're full of tiny details and things that you can interact with that add a richness to the world that's already brimming with personality. The game's film noir inspirations all come to a head in the shadowy gambling town of Rubalcaba during the game's second year. Your time here is easily the highlight of the adventure. Taking cues from Casablanca and on the waterfront, the town is full of dimly lit nightclubs, down-and-out dock workers, and a black ocean that shimmers like a watery grave. Tim Schafer's creative vision for the game's world is never compromised, and perhaps more impressively, you get a real sense that this is a living, breathing world. Over the course of the 4-year-long adventure, you'll get to return to old areas and see how they've evolved with the times. In particular, you'll see how the town you started in has changed into a gaudy casino city. It's a compelling world, which is immensely satisfying to explore, since each new area is guaranteed to be a feast for the eyes. And what ties the whole experience together is this unforgettable soundtrack by Peter McConnell, which is chock full of swinging jazz numbers and finger-clicking bebop tracks. All the music is used perfectly to enhance the mood and setting of the game, and it's such an integral part of the experience, anytime I hear it, it just makes me want to go back and replay the game all over again. While the world is ruled by the dead, its populace is what makes the world feel so alive. You'll meet many side characters on your quest, like the manic coat checker Lupe and the ocean wanderer Chipito, all of which are appropriately bizarre and flesh out the world. While main players, like the femme fatale Meche and the lovable speed demon Glottis, are characters you'll form a tight bond with throughout your journey, and they'll make a hell of a lasting impression. And then of course, there's Manny, the suave and sophisticated salesman of the dead. Though he's just an animated pile of bones, I always find it a pleasure to travel across the land of the dead in his shoes. While he can be funny and even awkward at times, he's not afraid to get his hands dirty if it means getting a job done, and he sticks out in my mind as one of the most unassuming and original game protagonists. It's an added bonus that he's just so effortlessly cool. Standing still for too long will prompt Manny to whip out a cigarette and start smoking, like he's waiting to be photographed for an old film poster. Manny's dialogue sounds like it's straight out of a quirky Raymond Chandler novel, and it's full of self-deprecating metaphors, slick one-liners, and wry observations. Even members of my close family who don't play games will occasionally and affectionately quote favourite lines like,
"I just take a little more bread to honor the dead."
The game is chock full of that trademark LucasArts sense of humour that no other developers at the time could even come close to matching. Manny's observations about the world and his surroundings provide an excellent incentive to explore the world, since his musings are always entertaining to listen to.
So you're not really a secretary?
I'm a spy, Manny.
Well, that's the last time we used that temp agency.
In an inspired and totally optional section, you can even deliver your own hilariously pretentious poem to an audience of beatniks.
Good evening. I like to read a poem.
Can you hear me saying nothing?
Even after 20 years, there are still lines of dialogue that I have never heard, and it was only after I went achievement hunting on the remastered edition that I uncovered some new tracks that made me giggle.
Soon to be known as the Blown Wagon.
Hey, that's not funny!
And to think they've always been there, but I just never found them. The only thing that I'm cursed to never forget is the solutions to all of the game's puzzles. Because there's only one solution to each puzzle, I don't get the thrill of figuring out what I need to do when I replay the game anymore. It's something I wish that I could forget. I know that the only way you can get the messenger pigeon eggs is to pick up the glowing piece of coral from Domino's office and fashion it into a grappling hook to reach the roof. From there, I know you need to scare away the pigeons by placing a balloon animal of choice into this bowl before grinding up a loaf of bread. This stuff is totally obvious to me, but to a newcomer, these logic puzzles can prove to be a bit of a barrier, and occasionally there are some real leaps of logic required to solve these puzzles. Granted, it's not the worst offending game in the point-and-click genre, but getting stuck in a game like this is the opposite of a good time. Countless hours of my childhood were spent running around Rubalcaba, picking up everything that wasn't bolted down, and rubbing it on everyone and everything. If you're anything like me, then these phrases of rejection will be forever burnt into your memory.
Not picking that up. It's locked. I don't want to mess up my blade.
The second half of the adventure is also nowhere near as strong as the first. The game starts to get a lot more linear, and there's a greater emphasis on more practical puzzle solving, and most of these are pretty bad. I'm looking at you, locker combination puzzle from year 3. And don't even get me started on this wine cellar elevator. It's for exactly these reasons that I've often found myself asking the question, would I still love this game if I only now played it for the first time? Deep down, I believe that answer would be a no. Having recently played games like Broken Age and The Dig, I've discovered that I've since developed a relatively short attention span for classic adventure games. You can mostly chalk that up to my ever-shifting expectations as a gamer, but once the game's world and puzzles cease to be endearing, then I lose all interest. Which is a shame because I used to love these style of adventure games. I've often fraternised with the science fiction scenario of forgetting how to solve all the puzzles in Grim Fandango, so I could re-experience the thrill of figuring out what to do next all over again. But even if a mad scientist jumped in front of me and offered to wipe away any memory of playing the game from my brain, without a second of hesitation, I would tell him no. The quotable dialogue, the toe-tapping tunes, and the beautifully realised worlds are all tiny little things that have developed so much meaning to me over the years. To forget playing Grim Fandango would be losing a part of myself, because I believe that playing this game from such a young age has actually shaped who I am as a person. It's influenced my sense of humour, my thoughts on life and death, and my love for games as a whole. To me, replaying Grim Fandango is like spending time with old friends or returning to my parents' house for Christmas. Whenever I see the final cutscene drawing to an end, my heart begins to ache, because I want the adventure to go on. I want to spend more time with the world and these characters, but as most of the undead cast know, everything must come to an end. Grim Fandango stands proud as one of the finest adventure games LucasArts ever produced. I have nothing but fond memories of sitting on my parents' old computer with my brother while laughing at the game's enduring jokes. Playing it today is still an original and enriching experience, and for better and for worse, it's a game I will truly never forget.